This is the CNC Router Tips Podcast, episode 51. This is the CNC Router Tips Podcast, a show which answers one question from you, the listener, about CNC router tables, CNC software, hardware, web hosting, and business. I'll help you get started in your CNC hobby or business and help you cut through the confusion.
Today's episode is sponsored by themakersguide.com. The Maker's Guide. Useful tools for makers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the CNC Router Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Bill Griggs, and today is a special day for me because I've got some new software that I've been playing with, and I thought I would tell you about it and share with you my experiences with it. Before we get into that, we should bring you up to date on a few things that have been going on in the CNC Router Tips community. We are celebrating the 50th episode of the CNC Router Tips podcast with a giveaway. And there was full details on episode 50 of this podcast. You can go to cncroutertips.com/50, the number 5 and the number 0, and you will see the entry form to enter in the contest for a chance to win an embroidered CNC Router Tips hat. And we're giving away a few of those just in celebration of the fact that we reached 50 episodes. But you need to hurry because it's only a couple of days left at the time of this recording before that giveaway is over. Now, also inside the CNC Router Tips community, we have a private Facebook group which has been growing steadily, and we're now over 8,600 members. In fact, as of today, we're at 8,664 members, and probably by the end of today or tomorrow, we'll be at 8,700. You know, that's just the way it grows. And I'm very pleased and happy that people continue to find the CNC Router Tips group on Facebook to be a benefit to them and a resource for them to find out information and to share information about their CNC router tables, their business, and what it is that they want to do. So if you get a chance, you can check that out at facebook.com/groups/CNC Router Tips. Okay, let's get right into the main theme of our episode today, which is talking about the new releases, software releases that came from Vectric. Recently, Vectric just released version 9 of their software, and it's really nice because Vectric has a full line of software, anywhere from Cut 2D, Cut 3D, VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, and then there is Aspire, their flagship program, and Vectric just went through and updated all of that software and made some really nice improvements to the user interface and to some of the tools and things that are available to you. So I thought I would just briefly describe some of the things that have happened. And now I'm going to talk about Aspire first, which is, you know, their top of the line program. But most of these things also apply to VCarve Pro and VCarve Desktop that they've added. And so I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at some of the changes that they made. Now, I've been using Vectric software for really almost since the first month or two that they entered the scene with their program called VCarve Wizard, which was exactly what it sounds like. It was a free giveaway program that allowed you to do CNC V carving, and then they built up from there and they added more and more features, and then they came out with other versions, and a few years later, they came out with Aspire, which was their solution for the needs of the CNC router. Now, I got Aspire when it first came out. I guess it was version 1 or whatever. I don't recall now at this point, but they've been steadily updating the programs, and they were up to version 4.5 just about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and they were getting confused in the numbering because they were updating VCarve Pro, they were getting Cut 2D and things separately at different times in their design cycle, and so they decided to make all the version numbers coincide from this point forward. So once you hit version 8 of the software, it was the same across all of the different products that they had. And so they've gone from version 8.5, which was the latest up until July of 2017, and they introduced version 9. And version 9 just really added more functionality to Aspire. Now, Aspire is 3D software for CNC routers. So you're able to generate relief carvings that look basically like a three-dimensional object. And they added the feature which will allow you to take it even a step further. So I'm just going to quickly go down, some of the bullet points of the things that they added to this version of Aspire. One of the things that they added was the smart cursor. And basically what that does is when you're in editing your vectors and drawings, sometimes you want to be able to locate easily one of the points on your drawing. For instance, on a circle, you might want to be able to locate one of the 4 corners or 4 quadrants of the circle. I know circles don't have corners, but they do have quadrants. And you might want to easily locate that point. Or you might want to locate the center of the circle. Well, in this version, using the smart cursor, when your cursor goes over the object, these points turn on, and you can see them, and you can align to them now, and that really adds a lot of functionality to the CAD drawing portion of Aspire. One of the weak points of the software was, not having an easy way to accurately place your lines and line up endpoints and things like that. And the smart cursor feature fixes that weakness in the software, and it really makes the usability of the software much, much better. I've spent a lot of time playing with this particular feature, and it just makes drawing something very much easier. So just on that one feature alone, that was a real big boost. Part of the reason why somebody would upgrade to this version of Aspire. Another thing that they added was quick keys. Now, Aspire had quick keys in it before. There were just a few of them that did some things like when you were node editing, to allow you to just press one key to enable a feature. For instance, if you're drawing a straight line in node editing, or a smooth line, you could press the S key and it would turn a couple of points that you selected into a smooth line, a curve, so that you could edit it. Well, they went way beyond that by adding things that allow you to change and specify the size of the geometry of the things that you're drawing while you're drawing them. So, for instance, if you start drawing a circle, you'd click the circle tool and you'd start dragging out the size of the circle. Well, if you type, for instance, 3D at the time that you're doing that, it will give you a 3-inch diameter circle. Or if you type 3R, it would give you a circle with a 3-inch radius automatically. And when you click, that circle is drawn to that size. And the same with squares. You can specify 2 different dimensions for the square, and it would, or a rectangle, and it would automatically update it. So there's a lot of functionality there with the quick keys being added. Aside from that, there is now the ability to see 2-sided jobs and to set them up right from the start. Now, when I started making the triple edge finder, one of the things that was critical to me was having the top side of the edge finder line up with the bottom side so that everything was accurate. And I spent a lot of time ensuring that that was the case and had to go through a lot of hoops to do it. Well, with this new version of Aspire, and this is also in VCarve as well, you can do this 2-sided machining capability. You can turn that right on the when you first set up a job, and it will allow you to see faint lines from one side of the drawing that you can snap to while you're drawing your other features for the bottom side of the part. And you can switch back and forth between the 2 sides and edit things and, change things as you go. Really, really super handy feature. And probably, if I were going to upgrade to Aspire, this would be the one feature that would, justify that the cost to me. The ability to do the 2-sided machining right there. And there's a lot of other things that go in with this. For instance, it shows you a different color to the screen when you're working on the bottom side than it does when you're working on the top side, so you know which side you're working on. There's also a few other telltale signs spread throughout the software that allow you to see these things. So really, really super feature. I think probably the best one that they've got in this this entire upgrade. Now, another feature that they added, and there are 6 features in total, so we're about halfway through now, is the mirror mode. Now, what this does is it allows you to define a component level, and component's basically the term that they use for any 3D object that you've created inside of the software, so that you can mirror that component. So you can place, it's basically a virtual mirror that you could place along the center of the part, either horizontally or vertically, or both at the same time to mirror a drawing. So if you were mirroring something from left to right, whatever you drew in the left quadrant of the screen would show up also on the right quadrant of the screen. And the same goes if you were mirroring from top to bottom. So you could mirror, a filigree or a any kind of things that you had drawn from the top to the bottom as well, and it would show up there. And as you move and adjust the original element on the screen, it also moves and adjusts the elements that it mirrors. So, in the top case scenario, you could mirror in 4 locations at once and then start sliding the part over, and it would move over all 4 of the parts towards the center or away from the center. It's a really cool feature. The one thing that was confusing to me at first was when you drop in your 3D object and your component and you go to do the mirror, if any part of that is sticking over into another quadrant of the screen, that part doesn't get mirrored and it kind of goes transparent, so you don't see it. But the part that's still in the quadrant gets mirrored, and so you can come up with some really new and novel designs just by selecting, which part of the component you can actually see in the quadrant. So that thing was really powerful, and I know that for folks who like to do scroll work and things like that, where they have ornamentation added to a design, this is going to be a real time saver and allow you to reuse the same design over and over again in lots of different ways. So it sounds like something that could be easily profitable if you're looking to go down that route. So one of the things that folks had complained about Aspire and vCarve Pro and the software was...
Today's episode is sponsored by The Maker's Guide, creator of the Triple Edge Finder. Get the edge you need, save time and frustration on your CNC project, and make setup a snap. Save time and material. Set up your workpiece on your CNC router table faster than ever. Accurately set your Z-axis height first time, every time. Automatically locate the corner or edge of a workpiece. Reset your starting point in the middle of a program. Quality crafted right here in the USA on US-made CNC machines. Get the edge you need today. Go to www.themakersguide.com/edge. The Maker's Guide. Useful tools for makers.
One of the things that folks had complained about Aspire and vCarve Pro and the software was not having an ability to generate a drawing of what it was that you had created to show to your clients. And they solved that by adding a feature which allows you to export your drawing as a PDF so that you could print it to scale and pass it on and give it to your client as a proof of concept. And that really adds to the level of professionalism that you can achieve with this program. And it takes it, again, out of just a little further down the road as making it, really good software to have. So that feature is very cool. And at the same time, they also gave you a work setup sheet, which you can produce, although that's not one of the 6. I'm telling you about it because I discovered it the other day, where you can click on that button and it'll give you all the settings that you use so that you can take it out to the machine with you when you're doing your setup. Really cool. And the last new feature, major feature that they added to Vectric Aspire is the turn and spin commands. Now, what this does is it allows you to take a profile or a vector that you've drawn and spin it kind of like it was on a lathe or on a potter's wheel to create a round symmetrical component. So, if it's laid out horizontally, you can spin it, and if it's laid out vertically, if it's laid out horizontally, you can turn it as if it were turned on a lathe, and if it's laid out vertically, you can use the spin command, and they actually show you what this generated form will look like. So for the first time, we're able to simulate like a chess piece, like a pawn or a rook right on the screen and see it in all of its three-dimensional glory, if you will. So really cool feature. I've experimented with it a little bit. I can't say, how I intend to use it yet. But that's one of the major features for this. And there are a whole bunch of other little features that come with this new software, like the vector validator, which helps you find open vectors and overlapping vectors and things to make your tool paths easier. There's the array copy toolpath feature, which allows you to duplicate one or more toolpaths as blocks and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff in this upgrade. And if you are at all curious and you want to take a look at this software, you can go and download a free trial copy of it right on the Vectric website at vectric.com. And they have versions that you can download of all of their software, and they're working versions that will allow you to cut any of the sample files that were included with the demo program. It will not allow you to cut your new designs that you create, but it will allow you to save them. And if you decide to upgrade later or buy the software later, you don't lose that work. So you could theoretically go out and design several things before you even bought the software. And then when you are ready and you have your machine and you're ready to buy the software, go out and buy the software and all your work is still there. So, that is kind of attractive to a lot of people. So that's what's new in version 9 of Vectric Aspire. I know I threw a lot at you, but that's a lot of features, and there's been a lot of work. There's a ton of little tiny detail things that they've included in the software too that are really good, like moving some of the commonly used icons up to the top menu bar so that they're always available and you didn't have to go digging down through a couple of layers of menus to get to them. They're right there. You just click on them, and that really will help you speed up your production work when you're doing things. So from top to bottom, Vectric has really outdone themselves in this version 9. It really is quite a good upgrade, in my opinion. I should tell you ahead of time that I am a licensed Vectric reseller, so my opinion may be slightly biased, but I try and only tell you folks about things that I know about and would stand behind. So, this is one of those things. I was already sold on this software long ago, so it was just so much easier for me to use than the things that I had used prior to this. And I think it's good software, so I thought I should tell you about the new things that are coming out. Now, if you've got VCarve, which is the middle of the line program, most of the things that were described in Aspire were also brought into VCarve. Now, VCarve Pro is not for creating 3D objects. It is for doing VCarving and profiling and most of the 2D machining things that we want to do on our routers. But it does have the ability to import 3D objects. It does not have the ability to create them. So any of the new features that allow you to manipulate 3D objects were included in VCarve Pro's version 9. But things like the turn and spin, which are 3D object creation things, are not included in this version. So and, there's a big price difference between VCarve Pro and Aspire. And so, there are going to be some differences, but that's one of the main things. They do include the smart cursor, the two-sided machining, the export to PDF, the quick keys, the vector validator, and the mirror mode in VCarve Pro. And in fact, I'm just going to double check here my facts, but it looks like most of these features have been included in VCarve Pro as well. Let's see what is in Cut 2D, which is the entry-level program, which is about $150 if memory serves me correctly. In Cut 2D, you get smart cursor, two-sided machining, export to PDF, quick keys, and the vector validator. So you get 5 out of the 6 new features in the entry-level program. So, like I said, amazing amount of new capabilities have been added to this software. So, if you would like to get a copy of this software, again, I suggest that you can go right to vectric.com to download your demo. If you'd like to purchase software or one of my triple edge finders or Mach 3, you can check out my website, themakersguide.com, guide.com. And that information is there, or you can contact me on Twitter at Bill Griggs or on Facebook. I would love to hear from you. And I hope that you found this information useful and timely because, as I said, this has been out for less than a week at the time of this recording, and many people may not know that Vectric has released this and, what's in it for them, as far as, new features. So I think it's pretty cool software. It's very hard to find this level of features at this price point in most software. So I think folks who are serious about their CNC might want to consider this if they're in need of software. So enough said about the new version 9. Now, on a personal note, I'd like to just share a little of what's going on in the Griggs household at the moment. I'm very happy that to say that my son, Benjamin Griggs, just graduated from high school. And that was a major milestone for me. Ben has been my right-hand guy from day one. In fact, he helped me to build my first CNC router table when he was 9 years old. And literally, he was getting down on the floor and tightening up nuts and bolts and things that he could reach, and helping me to lay out the table. And, where we were going to place different parts on the machine. And he was really very much involved in the whole process. And when you check out the website for this episode at cncroutertips.com/51, there'll be a couple of pictures of him from the time he was helping me with this project. And I just wanted to take a moment and publicly say just how proud and happy I am to see him accomplish this major milestone in his life. Graduating from high school is not a given. It is a privilege and an honor and something that you have to work hard for. And I'm very, very proud of him that he graduated. So thank you, Benjamin. You make your dad proud every day, and I can't wait to see what you decide to do with the rest of your life. Keep it up, guy. I love you. That's it for this episode of CNC Router Tips, and I want to thank each and every one of you for listening in. You can check out past episodes of the show. They're available on Spreaker.com. They're available on iTunes. They're available on YouTube, on the Bill Griggs channel, and they're also available at the CNCRoutertips.com website. I often mention many different types of software during the episodes, and hardware and cutters, and it can get a little confusing. So what I did was I put together a page on my website, cncroutertips.com/resources. And on that page, I list all sorts of resources there, from books to tools to software, all the things that I use that make my CNC experience better and easier. And I hope you'll check it out. So again, it's cncroutertips.com/resources. Now, if you'd like to have your question featured on the air, here's how. Need help? Ask me about your CNC router question on my podcast, the CNC Router Tips Podcast. I'll be glad to help, or try and get you the help you need. I want this podcast to be a fun and personal experience for everyone, and helpful. So let's keep it real and ask sensible questions. Please use common sense and show courtesy to everyone. That way everybody wins. Here are some guidelines to ensure that your question is qualified to be featured on the show. Please keep your questions under 1 minute in length. If it goes a little over that, that's fine, but don't ramble. If you have a website and URL, you're allowed to share it. but only once during the recording. Spammy or disrespectful or deeply private questions will not be considered for the podcast. If you need to ask more than one question, just make each question a separate voicemail. I'm Bill Griggs. Thank you and have a great day.